Was on hold with the doctor's office playing The Exorcist. Ringing in my head, and once again, it's like a acid reflux has encompassed my entire being, and I'm spitting up pea soup. I would imagine Jim Harbaugh is this whole Jim Harbaugh convention, and how bizarre the entire story is. It does seem odd. Now, the NCAA, I would imagine, is more influential than the World Boxing Council.
Yeah, this is the
in
big
terms of credibility and its ability to go ahead and administer what was going on in college football. This is an interesting story on so many different levels. As you look at Jim Harbaugh being suspended supposedly for the final 3 games. Now, the fascinating part to me, Lubie, is that you have Jim Harbaugh, the Michigan coach, beloved in the state of Michigan. At different times that they've had their differences with him. Well, when they're losing.
3 years ago.
It wasn't so popular.
You look at it.
God, everybody's wearing khaki pants. Incredible. But the issue is Michigan decoding their signals. Carlos Beltran banging on and telling Jose Altuve, go ahead and steal. He's coming home.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Not exactly sure what was going on there. Welcome to the show. Good morning, everybody. A Degenerate Friday edition of the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest and one Mike, Lubie Lubitz. How are you, Lubie? That sounded a little weird. I mean, we've been having some struggles at the top of the Tony Bruno Sports Network shows that we've been doing. And the weirdest thing about it is there's a spot for fighting irritable bowel syndrome that plays right before our show begins every day. And I guess it's part of the spot block that they have on the Tony Bruno Sports Network. And then Tony kind of like blows right through it. But the spot, the irritable bowel spot, keeps going. So, you're thinking that is really the exact definition of verbal diarrhea. I mean, they just keep going. Tony's talking about, well, I got the great new network here. And you're hearing about, well, it may cause oily discharge. And you're thinking, it's a good way, perfect way to introduce us. Anyway, good to be with you. We have a lot of ground to cover in a short period of time here today on a Degenerate Friday. We're going to be joined here in just a moment by the Greek, who has been on fire. Polyman puts it this way. He says, unique array of handicappers that you have on the show. Of course, we have Mark Lawrence with his numerology and all of his theories and always picking the underdogs, long shot player extraordinaire. And then we have the professor, who I really don't know that anybody knows more about college football than the professor. There probably is somebody, right? You think if you put the professor and Paul Feinbaum in a room, that Feinbaum wouldn't just end up in the fetal position in the corner just saying, what am I doing as a major broadcaster? This guy knows more about college football than anybody, and he's investing in it. And usually pretty wisely. He'll be joining us later on, have a big board for us, we hope, as well. And also, the Greek is part of that thing. The knowledge of the professor, you got deep-rooted stuff, all kinds of justification, the numerology of Mark Lawrence, and then all the Greek does, the Polyman says, is pick winners. That's it. And he's been doing it for us for many, many years. He's been doing it on his own for many years. He has his contest going where he's smoking everybody. What happens if you win your own contest, Louie? You did that with the all-you-can-eat lobster deal that we had at the Ocean Man Hotel and the Bamboo Beach Tiki Bar. Didn't you win that thing because you cheated?
I lost. No, I lost. You guys wouldn't let me. One, you wouldn't let me win. It didn't matter. That woman was fucking insane. I went to the restroom between you guys said I threw up, which that would be weird. I'm not a professional eater. No, the lady just kicked my ass. I actually was trying. You guys were telling me to not try. I didn't.
Because, how ridiculous would it be if you won the contest and won the prize?
You were having me do the fucking thing.
You were so competitive, though, Lubie, that, I didn't realize how competitive you actually are. Until that thing with Jeff Monson, the MMA fighter. Oh, yeah. Monson may as well have been a monster. The guy was an absolute monster. He looked like a cross between, a professional wrestler and some guy that was collecting for the mob. Just one of those guys you don't want to mess with. Tattoos everywhere, and he's actually taken this seriously. I don't think we were able to communicate to him that this was just a joke for the purposes of staging, something for the media. And it was in our studio, and you were on the floor, and you refused to tap out. The guy had you in a reverse, what is it, rear naked chokehold or whatever that is?
Yep.
My God. And you were turning purple.
You were like
What,
losing it.
what was weird was none of the people in management seemed to care. They were just like, okay, how much longer is this going to go on? It's like, what, until the guy dies? You wouldn't be satisfied? It's amazing. So anyway, yeah, you're highly competitive, and you would not let that go. That the lady was going to eat more lobsters than you, and the whole idea was just to have the contest and talk about the promotion that Frank Tellerico was doing. And you took it so seriously, but then when you left the grounds, though, that was a clear violation. I mean, that was Jim Harbaugh stealing signs.
She still beat me. That's the funny thing is, even with that, she kicked my ass. Like that lady was a machine. I couldn't.
What'd she down? About 27 lobsters? It was Mayo-esque.
I couldn't because we had to eat the sides too. And there was bread, and it was like, oh my god! And this lady was just pounding. I'm like, all right, lady.
All right. I hope you people don't mind the dog in the background. That's Skippy. He's going crazy here because the curtains are open, and somebody's out back where they envision of in the sight line of one Skippy dog, and I think he's going to bark through this whole segment until I'm able to get down there and do something about it. All right, so the Greek should be joining us here in just a second. Greek with us, Mike Lubie Lubitz?
Well,
No?
you can see I haven't used the phone yet. I'll give him a call. I just wanted to get his stats right, and I'll give you his stats, and I'll call him right now.
All right, I did want to get into this, though. And I had stopped watching Bachelor and Bachelorette episodes many years ago. At first, you're sort of interested in it, all right? I mean, to get a field of babes like these guys did. Jesse Palmer, now the host of the show, is hosting virtually everything and selling furniture. I mean, this guy really has launched a mega media career. Falls into a good spot. Chris Harrison, who was the host for many, many years. This will be the most dramatic conclusion in Bachelor and Bachelorette history. Every show, I mean, he said the same thing. It was the same game. So it got kind of tired. It became sort of a caricature of itself, did it not? The old caricature of itself thing. It was very flawed and cliched, the whole business about, well, when we go on this journey. I don't know if I was watching, some kind of romantic show where people were actually being realistic about what they were doing, or if you were watching Susie Colbert interview draftees into the NBA. When you started this journey, is this what you envisioned? No, I didn't want to go to the fucking Pistons. I wish somebody would just say that once. Be honest. Oh yeah. My mom and we dreamed about this. No, it's great. I don't mean to diminish the dreams and the accomplishments of young people, but she poured it on a little bit thick, did she not? That's the second time we brought up Susie Colbert for some reason in the last couple of days on the different shows that we do, Louie. The other one was in relation to Damar Hamlin. We were trying to figure out what was the greatest comeback of all time. It has to be Damar Hamlin, no? Where he comes back from the dead.
Death.
Literally came back from the dead. Now, how many people have done that? And then continued to play professional sports. Get out of here. This guy was DOA. He was dead on the field. I guess that's DOF. Anyway, I stopped watching this garbage because, it just became ridiculous. At first there's the fantasy of, wow, I mean, have you ever seen, when you go out, when you were single, Lubie, and you went to clubs, did you ever see an assemblage of babage in the ratio that you had on The Bachelor?
Oh,
when, they would bring like 30 of the hottest, most gorgeous, models that you could possibly find. And you're thinking every one of these, women are falling in love with this guy in a matter of seconds. They haven't even gotten out of the car, and they're already declaring their love for the guy. They don't know what kind of fucking jerk the guy might be. Could be anything, right? And oftentimes it turned out the guy either had some kind of psychotic, disorder, or was just an asshole anyway, or wasn't anything. I mean, George Santos might have had more credibility with the stuff that he was saying on his resume than some of these Bachelor and Bachelorette candidates have. So now they did the Golden Bachelor. And I didn't watch much of it because when you saw the field, it reminded me of Pete's Place. I don't know if you ever frequented that. You probably wouldn't have because it was. I think it's obsolete now. I think it's something else. It's in Boca Raton. The Greek would know about this joint, no? Pete's Place.
Probably.
Let's bring them on, man. Let's bring them on. 5-0 2 weeks ago. Oh my God. 3-0 in the colleges, 2-0 in the NFL. As the Polyman says, all this guy does is pick winners. He is a winner. We welcome to the show the Greek. Greek, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, buddy. What's happening?
Everything's good. I don't know. You're not inclined to watch this kind of stuff on TV. I had given up on The Bachelor and The Bachelorette many years ago. I thought it was becoming just ridiculous. That it was always the same shit. But did you get a glimpse at all of The Golden Bachelor that was debuting this year with this guy? He's 72 years old. Not a bad looking guy. Looks like he's got it going on. And the field that they assembled of women, normally like all gorgeous babes, if you're watching The Bachelor. It really did. It looked like the crowd. Did you ever go to Pete's Place by any chance when it was open in Boca?
No. What is that dog in the background? Are you at the kennel club?
It may as well be. I mean, there's an old guy that lives across from us that comes outside at about 7 a.m. And my dog Skippy is not a fan of his. Of him. And he's going to bark until I close the curtains, which I don't have a chance to get up and do. So bear with it. I mean, maybe that's a sign that you should be picking underdogs today on the show.
Dogs are barking, literally.
They're barking, the dogs. They're barking. You're never at Pete's Place? I mean, this was College and City. This was the unfortunate aftermath of failed plastic surgery. It was all on display there.
I didn't know. No, I did see the guy. He looked good for his age, 72.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not supposed to say that to people when you say they look good for their age.
Well, I mean, I consider that a compliment. Somebody says you look good for your age because, they're figuring I'm only 55. But, I mean, the guy looked great. I mean, he looked like he could, possibly, I don't know how to say this, but do a little better, right? I mean, the field they assembled looked like it came out of the Biscayne Kennel Club.
But they're not going to give him girls, 45 years old.
Why not?
He's 72. He's 72.
Go by the formula. 72. You want to go and divide your age in half, 36.
Yeah.
And then add 7 years, and that should be the Mendoza line. You shouldn't be chasing women that are under like 43 years old at 72.
I don't know. It's weird.
You're right, but they don't look at it like that. It's real. It's TV. They got to. Everybody lies to everybody and don't want to say that girls that are younger go out with older guys because then they look like gold diggers. So most of America is pretty dumb and stupid. And they believe Elvis is still alive. So they go with that, like, oh man, I'm divorced. I found love again. Never love anybody more than you love yourself because you will never let you down.
There you go.
Put that on a billboard.
That's a good one, man. You'll never get the hosting job on The Bachelor. That's for sure. Jesse Palmer's job is safe. No Greek can replace him. Well, anyway, I mean, it turned out that it was all bullshit. The guy claimed that he hadn't touched a woman since his wife died 7 years ago. It turns out, like, the body wasn't even cold yet, and he was already having an affair with somebody.
Well, everybody lies. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, that's what kills me with people. When somebody's surprised that they lie, everybody lies every single day. People say, oh, I don't lie. Yes, you do. Stop. They all lie. Even though he said when you meet somebody the first 5 minutes, it's their best. They're writing a book. They want you to read this chapter. I mean,
It's
come
crazy.
on. I mean, everybody wakes up, everybody, oh, I hate him. She hates me. Everything's good. We broke up. We're friends. You're not friends if you broke up.
No.
Friends, you would have broke up.
He destroyed this one babe. I think she was a Jewish woman. She might have been from Boca Raton. I think there were some entries there from South Florida. And, I mean, just absolutely, I guess that's what I used to get a kick out of. And then I found myself, this was worse than being in the Deadpool, in terms of celebrating somebody else's demise. And, I just love the way that they would roll over like a bulldozer, some poor woman's heart. And then, they would dwell on that for a while. And the host, it was once Chris Harrison, now Jesse Palmer, would act all sympathetic. And they were just having a good laugh and maybe a couple of cocktails right after the scene was shot.
But it's a TV show, dude. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just like when people call into radio stations and people think that it's not comedians, it's not professional actors. You tell people that, it's like you're telling them there's no Santa Claus. They're like, you're talking about that? I'm like, no. It's all fake. And people get so upset. This woman the other day, she's like, you're lying to me. I'm like, you can believe whatever you want. I really don't care if you live or die, to be honest with you.
That's great.
The truth, though. They're all actors.
I love it. That's great.
Nobody's good. Nobody's good on the radio like that except us, to be honest with you. and everybody needs people to call into their radio shows because their shows suck. So we got, oh my God, we got Susie Lou. She went on a date last night, and the guy wants to see her again, and we're going to talk to her. Well, get the hell out of here. You believe that's true?
Oh, maybe those
really
segments. Oh yeah. Oh my God, those are so fucking phony. My
Yeah.
buddy used to have me
they're
set
all
those up
actors.
all the time on his FM show.
Yeah, they're all actors.
It's all BS. Yeah, no, you're right about that, Greek. 100% right. All right.
I love the dog. I gotta say, I feel like you're at the mall and you're at like at a puppy store, and I'm calling you. Like this is where your life is end up. You can't shut the shades, really.
This is an unfortunate circumstance here where, I was perfectly okay. I had a room where I could close the door if circumstances like this arose. And then the Mustang decided she was going to rearrange the house, and she hasn't been able to deal with the fact that I had this equipment set up in this downstairs bedroom for the last 2 years that we've been living here. So she moves all of this stuff up to another level, which is okay. I mean, there's a little more atmosphere up here. If you were doing a broadcast, at least you can see outside, see the sun is shining and stuff. But unfortunately, there's no way to block out this noise. So
break after the Greek. We'll go to a break.
yeah, right after your appearance here, I will attempt to do something about it. But you're going to have to just struggle through it. Are you picking underdogs today? I mean, like I said, that would be an appropriate theme to just have Skippy barking in the background.
All right, here's the biggest Jesse James robbery of the weekend. So
Okay.
Oregon's given Washington 9. They lost to them 3 weeks ago, and Washington is ranked above them. You tell me why.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I guess Washington's play of late has been less than stellar,
And Oregon's
even though they've been winning, and Oregon's been crushing teams like a
every
grape.
single one. Oregon has a struggle
Yes.
winning, and Washington struggles every single game.
They played 7 of common opponents,
Yeah.
and when Washington plays them, the average victory is 9 points, and when Oregon played them, it was 29.
That's
But
it.
Wow.
still, when you play a team 2 weeks, 3 weeks later on a neutral site, this is either going to be the biggest blowout or it's going to be a con job. Because there's just no way. I mean, I can see Washington maybe getting 3 to 4, possibly 4.5, 9. They're begging you to take Washington.
Yes.
Begging you.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, it's just like Sunday. How are the Eagles getting 3 against the Niners? Another game they're begging you. Makes no sense.
No, I mean, I'm very happy to be getting 9 last night with the Seattle Seahawks. As thank goodness that McCarthy, is a very strange game manager. He almost managed to put themselves into a loss yesterday, which was
Yeah, you
amazing.
got lucky there. Yeah, because Dallas could have scored at the end. You would have got screwed with backdoor cover, and they would have won by 10. But you won,
Yes.
and that's all that matters. But I like the favorites tomorrow. I think they all blow out. I think Oregon blows out tonight. I think they win. I think Texas destroys Oklahoma State because they got to win big. They can't win. They got to win big. And also, the time of the game is important. It's at 12 o'clock. Georgia, Alabama play at 4. If Georgia, Alabama played earlier,
So they'll
then they
know.
would know the result.
So they'll
but
know.
going in, they're not knowing, and they think there's an outside shot, and there is an outside shot they get in. But I think Texas blows out Oklahoma State. I think Georgia kicks the shit out of Alabama. And Saban's, off the field doing Woody Hayes, punching people, going crazy. And Michigan against Iowa, like Kim Kardashian said today, that they became billionaires. It's a fluke. Michigan is, Michigan, the over-under is 35. They get 35 by themselves. I mean, Iowa's terrible. They're worst 10-2 team I've ever seen in college football. So I think Michigan. I like all the favorites tomorrow. I like Michigan, and I like the over. I like Oregon tonight. I like Texas, and I like Georgia.
Very good. Are you looking at any pro games this week, Green?
I think the Falcons fucking kill the Jets, and that's good
Yeah.
because Rodgers doesn't have to play. And I know, the Philly Niner game is going to be the game everybody watches, and I think that, I don't know, if I was going with somebody, I would go with the Niners. I just would lay to 3. I wouldn't lay 3.5 or 4, but I would lay to 3. McCaffrey and Debo, when they're both in there, that offense is different. They got a little bit of payback, and this is their only shot, really, to catch Philly, because Philly's got 1 loss, they got 3, and if they beat them head-to-head, they'll be in a good shot. Philly's got some tough games left. I would go with the Niners in Atlanta, and tomorrow I like the favorites.
Yeah, you would have to think any bet against the Jets would turn out to be a profitable one. Interesting that a team could be 10-1 and be a home dog to a team that has 2 more losses. But that's the case in that 49ers game where the Eagles are getting points at home, a very tough place to play. And they've done the old cliche thing, manufactured and found ways to win, even when it looked like they weren't in a position or a strong position to do so.
They should have won last week against Buffalo. Buffalo blew that game.
Yeah.
Opportunities they missed. But again, it goes, and people who listen right now might not realize that it goes by where the money is. That line is set to get the same amount of bets on every side. People are betting the Niners. It could be a line that's inflated, and you look away if Philly wins. You go, man, how did you bet against Philly? They're home 10-1. And you look at yourself Monday and say, I should have known. But I have never seen a line in all the years I'm betting, like tonight's game with Oregon and Washington, where a team beat the team, 3 weeks ago and is getting 10 points on a neutral site. It's crazy.
And you're saying go ahead and lay the points.
You go with Oregon, though? Do you still say go with Oregon?
Yeah, I would stop at Oregon. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right.
You think it's
Interesting.
I think it's a suck-in. I think it's a suck-in game.
And what were your pros? You had the Jets. Are you going with the Eagles?
Falcons and
Yeah, the Falcons. I mean, but you had that game. And what was the Eagles?
Yeah, I would go. And you know what? If you want a third one, I take the Chiefs because I think now the Chiefs are going to put it into a different gear. And Jordan Love's going to have to get his love off the field, not against that Chief defense.
Sounds good, Greek. What do you got going this weekend? Anything special? Can you believe it's December 1st already, last month of the year? I only have 1 more month to get my New Year's resolutions from last year, at least to some level of satisfaction.
Well, next year should be on your resolutions. Now, when you do a radio show, you don't have your dog in the background.
Not much I can do about that. I've been repositioned here. I've been cast adrift in a sea of diversity.
Next week. You want to go down to Hard Rock? Come on, December 7th. We can
I know. We should all head out
put
there.
down 10-9.
I just want to follow in your footsteps there and be part of your entourage, hoping that you make a big hit and start throwing $100 chips around. That'll be great. Are you going to be involved, Greek? Are you going down there? Shouldn't you be an ambassador for the opening?
If they were smart.
I would imagine a paid appearance might be, something that was in the works.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing ads for them, which is great. I think it's great. I'm happy we're getting sports betting. I got a couple of my friends who are going to Bahamas in December. They all canceled. They're coming down here now. There's no need to go to Bahamas. I mean, I'd rather go to Miami. Nightlife is better. You guys sport betting. You got craps, and you have roulette. I think they're going to crush Vegas with that, with all the Eastern people. I really think it is.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, it'd certainly be a more appropriate place to be at this time of the year than Atlantic City for the short flight.
But not only that, I just think Miami is better than Bahamas. I think Bahamas is going to get hurt by it too.
Bahamas sucks.
Bahamas is a little brutal. I mean, I love our Bahamian friends. We had a lot of listeners down there when we were on 940. I'm sure you did too. And yet, I mean, when you go down there, it's a whole different trip. Yeah. It's just, let's wait and see if this bar is actually open while you're sitting there for 3 hours.
Exactly.
Guys like polishing glasses and there's never serves. It's just crazy down there. It's insane. Maybe it's picked up a little bit, some of those results.
I understand that, but people from New York went down there because you had roulette, the sports betting. Now you don't have it. So gamblers are like, I'd rather go to South Beach, hang out, 25 minutes away from the casino, or stay at the casino, and I'm fine.
Yep.
I think they're going to take a big hit. That's just my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we'll see. Anyway, Greek, you have a great weekend, man. You've been hot, on fire, 5-0 last week. As a Polyman, your biggest fan says, all he does is pick winners. So congratulations on that, and thanks so much for being with us.
All right, buddy. You have a great week. You and Lubie. Hopefully I see you soon for a cigar for the holidays. I'm at Strike Cigar Lounge today doing my show.
Nice.
Beautiful. All right.
All right.
Greek, ladies and gentlemen. All right, want to get right to it? A little Mark Lawrence? You want to take a quick time out here and set that up?
Make sure your dog stops barking.
Okay. All right. We're coming back. We have to satisfy some obligations that we have here, and we're very happy to because all great people supporting these programs over the years that we've been doing it. Back with more in a moment on a Degenerate Friday. Now that.
The time.
Didn't we give out a sea of gagging chalk yesterday? All road favorites in the NFL. How did the Jets possibly beat the Falcons? If that happens, And that line is relatively short. The Falcons
two.
are favored
It's
maybe
only
by
two.
1.5.
It's 2 points. The Falcons will win that game, and they should win it going away.
2 points now, yeah. 34 is the over-under in an NFL game. That was a wild game last night. It really was. Interesting stats coming out of that game. 5th time in NFL history, neither team has punted in a ball game. All right, we have to run. We'll be back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Right on cue there, Skippy. It's 8:26. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kotsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. To make the right choice for your home, call Choice Mortgage today.
All right. Tell me you had it, Mark Lawrence. Tell me you had the ultimate parlay, money line parlay, Jets, Bengals. Both teams had to be, 10-1 money line. It hasn't happened since 1973. I think you're probably well aware of that 2 double-digit underdogs have won straight up in the National Football League. So we're talking about 47 years of history. That was erased with this double whammy that took place against the chalk. And many people got buried on that. Tell me you had it. Tell me you had a little taste on the money line Jets-Bengals parlay.
I tell you this, that if I had played the Jets and the Bengals on the money line parlay, I would be the lead speaker at a Gamblers Anonymous meeting.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. It'd be much more appropriate if Skippy stayed down here, but when I closed the curtain, he went upstairs. So we won't have the dogs barking in the background, but we will be picking some dogs here with Mark Lawrence, who joins us on Degenerate Friday right now. Mark, of course, playbooksports.com, coming off another good week here on the program, 3-1 a couple of weeks ago. We didn't have a Degenerate Friday show last week, so this goes back 2 weeks. 3-1, 1-1 on the college level, 2-0 in the pros. Easy pickings with Mark Lawrence. Mark, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing just terrific, Devo. I hope your Thanksgiving was a good one.
It was a good one because I was handed Green Bay in my personal bookmaking venture, and I would have never bet on the Green Bay Packers in that ball game, figuring the Lions were due to destroy somebody on Thanksgiving Day after all those torturous years where we had to watch them in the mid-'60s in some of the most boring games in the history of the National Football League. And sure enough, Green Bay Packers prevailed. I would imagine that was the side of the coin that you were on, maybe even on the money line.
Yeah, it was the right side of the game and the side we liked also. With Detroit carrying all this weight here, real popular suddenly all of a sudden. But fact of the matter is that team has really struggled on Thanksgiving Day. And, suddenly they were Superman dressed up that day. And, we had to go out and fade them with the Packers, and ended up being a pretty nice side in the game.
Sure made the pumpkin pie taste better. Yeah, covering the 8.5 and winning outright. All right, we want to get right to this week's slate. Very exciting. It gets underway tonight. I don't know if you have an opinion. The Greek was just talking about how it seemed ridiculously out of whack to see a team that won straight up just a few short weeks ago getting 9 points in a ball game against another team that that they had handled, and I guess they have similar opponents. The numerology supports allocating that kind of differential. But do you have an opinion on Oregon and Washington tonight?
Well, my initial reaction, like most other people, is that it was way too many points for Oregon to be laying to an undefeated Washington football team. But then I did the breakdown like a doctor looking at an X-ray and looked inside the numbers of these two football teams, and I can understand where Vegas is coming from when they made this line. And largely, it's when you look at the common opponent stats between these two teams, they've each faced 8 common opponents this year. And you look at the yardage in those football games, Washington won all 8 of those games. Obviously, they're undefeated here. Oregon won 7 of those games. Oregon's common opponent stat average margin was plus 1,696 net yards. Washington, that was Oregon's plus 1,696 yards. Washington's net yardage was minus 153 yards.
Wow.
That's unbelievable. I mean, the gap between those two teams, and that's exactly where the Vegas odds makers are coming from. They see the performance inside the stats on the field between these two teams. I don't agree with it personally. I think it's way too many points to lay into not only a good Washington team, but a team that's got a terrific head coach in Caleb DeBoer. He's 21-2 with the football team. He's also 15-1 outright in games when he has the better record. Put a gun in my head, I play Washington in the game, but I'm going to hold off on that just because of those inside-out stats that I was telling you about.
All right, let's get into your picks for this week. A couple of college plays, as we said. Mark Lawrence, PlaybookSports.com, 3-1 last week. In fact, between the Greeks 5-0, well, you're 3-1. That's what, 8-1. The professor went 6-1. So if you were watching a show a couple of weeks ago, you're a rich person today. You've certainly been enriched, as you would be working to the tune of 14-2.
Yep.
On the week. I don't know that anybody's got a show that's putting that kind of stuff together. So let's get after it. Mark Lawrence, PlaybookSports.com.
Well, we're going to play revenge in these conference championship games here, and it always works best in these championship games. Number one, we're going to look at Miami of Florida. They're taking 7.5 points against Toledo in the MAC conference championship game. And,
Ohio.
While
I'm like, I like Miami
of Ohio. I'm sorry. I said Florida. I got Florida.
I was thinking, how is Mario going to choke in this game? And it would be unlikely that you were picking him to do anything. Yes.
We'll go up north to Ohio. Miami of Ohio plus the points against Toledo here. And what we've got here is Chuck Martin, his head coach at Miami's a terrific head coach. And Jason Candle, the head coach from Toledo, was being wooed by Indiana. And Indiana ended up taking Signetti from James Madison instead. That can't sit well with the Toledo football players, knowing his coach is out there entertaining job offers. But Miami comes into this football game here with Chuck Martin, their head coach. He's been amazing in his career. 21-5 to the spread when his team is coming off a point spread loss. 8-0 the last 8. I think Miami of Florida wins this game straight out on the field here, and they have same season revenge against Toledo. Give me Miami plus the 7.5. Miami of Ohio.
Yeah, Miami of Ohio against Toledo in the championship game. All right, that's one. Mark Lawrence, PlaybookSports.com. Your other college game.
The college game, we're going to stay with the home dog in UNLV, taking points against a Boise State football team that changed their coach in the middle of the season here, and I don't think that change was for the good. Playing a little bit better, Boise State is, but the fact of the matter is, if there was a vote today for the college football coach of the year, Barry Odom from UNLV would have to be right in the running. This team has been just an absolute hot slot machine, if you will, from their backers this year. They've made money all season long. The best point spread team in college football this year, UNLV. What I really like about the game here is not only are they a home underdog in the football contest, but in his career, he is 12-1 at home. Barry Odom is when he has the better record, which he does in this football game. I think UNLV is the better football team. They're the home underdog here. We'll play UNLV plus the points against Boise State in that Mountain West Conference championship game.
Not surprising. Two teams, two underdogs. Mark Lawrence taking the points with Miami of Ohio and UNLV. All right, in the pro ranks, it appears, again, that there might be some easy pickings. Maybe some sucker lines are out there. What are you looking at, Mark?
Well, I look at this card here, Defo, and honestly, I see kind of a treacherous card in the sense that we've got 6 teams that are sitting off watching these games on bye weeks with us, so the schedule is not all that deep, per se, if you will. And the fact of the matter is not that the game's over, but the game I liked the most was last night with Seattle against Dallas. And
Right.
if it was on Sunday's card, I would have been headlining it with you, but we can't talk about the past. We'll look forward to hear what's coming up here. I'm going to look one to the Green Bay Packers taking points against Kansas City in this football game. Kansas City is a team that, for whatever reason, they are not hitting on all cylinders, especially offensively. And they're sending them out there as road favorites, solid road favorites, with a horrible, horrible defensive rush stop unit here for Kansas City. You just don't do that in football games like this. And this is ironic, but the last 9 times when Kansas City's been favored in both of these games, both of the teams are off point spread wins. Kansas City is 0-9 against the spread in those contests there. I think Green Bay's playing the better football right now. I got to play the Packers as the dog in this football game for our first play.
You had to dig deep for that number on KC, but it is something that you would have to take into consideration. All right, Green Bay Packers once again bouncing back, from that great victory for us all on Thanksgiving Day, and the other game in the pros. Mark Lawrence.
Other game, we're going to look at the Tennessee Titans taking points against the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts have a revival going on of sorts with Gardner Minshew. Has been served pretty well as a backup quarterback, but this is not the role that Minshew is best in his career. When he takes on teams that have a win percentage of 333 or better, and those teams, and his team, Minshew's team is coming off a win. He's only 1-9 straight up in those 10 football games trying to get the job done. I see Tennessee, a football team here that needs this game like blood, and they're coming in here using the same theory, the same stat theory in the Kansas City game. Tennessee, when both teams come off point spread wins, they are 12-1 against the spread is Tennessee. I believe the Colts get exposed in this football game here. They're not a very good football team. Tennessee needs this win. Like I say, I think they get the win. Tennessee plus the points.
I think that was one of our gold seal, double wheel, super platinum exacta specials going the other way. So Mark Lawrence going with Tennessee getting the points. So with some very solid supporting numerology. All right, playbooksports.com. How do people get more of your information? Always wonderful stuff. As everybody that watches and listens to the show can tell, some serious quantifying numbers there coming from Mark Lawrence on playbooksports.com.
Yeah, we've got all the college football conference championship games broke down in our weekly newsletter here. A lot of good reading here. Like those stats I told you about in the Oregon-Washington football game, kind of keep you off of it a little bit. Everything's available online at playbooksports.com. That newsletter, the over-under totals tip sheet, and our midweek alert statistical newsletter, the daily racing form of newsletters, all online, playbooksports.com.
Excellent stuff as always, Mark. Thanks so much for being with us here on a Degenerate Friday, and best of luck with your picks and selections and plays over the weekend.
Likewise, same to you, Defo, and Mikey. Have a great week too. Take care.
All right, thanks a lot, Mark Lawrence, ladies and gentlemen. There he is, the professor. 6-1. The last time he was on the show a couple of weeks ago. 6-1 college football picks. Outstanding, professor. We knew you were going to heat up. It was only a matter of time. And we welcome you to the show. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you, Deef?
Doing all right. Hanging in there. And, everything's good. Our guys, I guess, between you, Mark Lawrence, and the Greek, 14-2 a couple of weeks ago on the show. I don't know that there's another show. This is a Lubie documentation.
I think we all picked UCLA, so like 3 of those games are actually the same game. So.
Yeah. All right.
But it was an easy winner. It was an easy money line winner. So
sure.
I can't hate on it.
Wow. Yeah. Any bet against USC seems to be generating a profit through the last several weeks of the season.
I'm not sure that'll hold up forever. I think Lincoln Riley will get it turned around eventually.
All right. We have to get kind of right into the picks here a little bit.
Because there's a lot to talk about. Like Sports Illustrated. Is it more disturbing that you now put fat women in the swimsuit issue, or that you're naming Deion Sanders the freaking sports person of the year? What was the other option that you went with a 4-8 coach who lost 7 of his last 8? One of the most embarrassing chokes in the history of sport against Stanford, and got absolutely smoked like 3 times, including your second to last game against Washington, Washington State, where like they legitimately humiliated you and tried to kill your child while on the field. So who finished second? Did Mario? I've been ripping Mario Cristobal. I didn't know he was very close to being the sportsman of the year.
That
if
is
Mario
something.
Cristobal holds on against Georgia Tech, he may very well been, or maybe if he blows another couple games like he blew against Georgia Tech, he would have been the sports player of the year.
You think they went to print after Deion was 3-0 and just for some reason
I mean, I
couldn't
think
get out of it?
obviously they did it for social media headlines because
Yeah.
Sports Illustrated really, I mean,
Exist.
I think when you talk about like mismanagement of a trusted, beloved brand, Sports Illustrated needs to go down in history with like New Coke and
Kodak.
Clear Pepsi. I mean, like really, like you have really bungled the last 30 years or so, Sports Illustrated.
What do you think? Is it just the changing times and the way that people, use
No,
media?
I think they've done a lot of really stupid things. I mean, look, it used to be the haven for the sports writer. There's still room for sports writing. Look, there's tons of sports writers who are immensely popular.
Yeah.
But Sports Illustrated has never really tried to trend with that for the last 30 years. And then, let's be honest, they also hired a lot of doofs to run the magazine for a good run there at the end. And then again, at the end, somewhere someone was handling the swimsuit issue and goes, you know what we need? Dudes and fat women. That's the key. That's what people really want out of this publication. Like,
what's next? Farm animals?
When did we stop with like Kathy Ireland and Elle McPherson and these women who were like the most treasured
Christy
women?
Brinkley was made there also, yeah.
And let's go with some dudes. Like, how did that decision get made?
Are they trying to improve their female readership? I can't imagine.
Let's put Tony Gonzalez on the cover.
I remember you couldn't wait for the mailman to get there the day that Sports Illustrated was arriving. And if it didn't come that day, it was a bitter disappointment.
In my high school,
Yeah.
that was like a national holiday. You went home to get it and bring it back to school. Like, wow. I mean, talk about blowing a brand. Like you had it on the downhill run, and you just totally let go of the rope.
It's got to be a grab. You're right, Deion Sanders.
Right, and now you have to
create some outrage.
Put Coach Prime in the middle of the week, where like all his recruits are actively leaving. Where like everybody who's decent on his recruiting list is like, yeah, I'm not going to Colorado. Like I'm not related to him, so I'm not going to be the star.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I'm not his kid, so I'm like Travis Hunter. He's going to try to get me killed.
Does he even make it through next season before Colorado lets him go?
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. He's
still going to get publicity.
He makes so much money for that school. I think Deion will get a bigger job eventually. It'll be someone who wants him for revenue purposes.
He may end up with the Jets. It's possible.
I don't think it's going to be an NFL. I don't think anybody's putting their multi-billion-dollar property in the hands of Deion Sanders. But
they have done worse. I mean, as evidenced by any number of coaches now.
Get a bigger school job because clearly he is great at attracting media attention and money.
That's for sure. No doubt about it. And one guy that can actually stand being in the same room with Nick Saban for more than 30 seconds. Although, handsomely paid for that.
Let's not be sure that that's actually the case. They may bitterly despise each other.
Well, it's possible maybe they shoot that separately now. I mean, with all the different things that they can do to doctor up a video.
CGI.
They never actually have met. All right, we need to get to the selections here because we have so many things to accomplish in a short period of time, including a big board. So college plays for this week, the professor. I'll just let you run right through them.
I don't know, man. I like everything on the board. I'm like the fat guy at the buffet this week, looking at these lines. I agree with Mark Lawrence on his pick. I disagree on trying to talk. I don't see why anybody wouldn't take Washington in 10 points in this spot. They beat Oregon at home. They're getting double digits. They're unbeaten. If you want to say Bo Nix is a Heisman Trophy winner, that's fine. But Michael Penix is in second or third. They have a problem matchup for Oregon with those big wide receivers, which is the one thing Oregon's defense doesn't seem capable of dealing with. And their defense, while not good overall, has been very good in big spots and in close games. So, why you wouldn't take Washington double digits here?
That's 10, yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, 10 points to me is an insane line. Same thing, New Mexico State and Liberty. Liberty obviously playing for that BCS spot. Them and Tulane probably sort of neck and neck for that at-large BCS spot. But New Mexico State, one of the hottest teams in the country after losing 3 of their first 5, have reeled off 8 in a row. blown most people they've played out, and they're getting 11.5 from a Liberty team that kind of looked tired coming into the last few games of the year, and has faced a much more challenging schedule, so they should be more taxed. So again, tonight, double-digit points, both situations. I don't know why you wouldn't take it. Oklahoma State getting 15 from Texas. Yes, Oklahoma State was not impressive against BYU. It's been like 2 months since Texas was impressive. It might be since when they played Alabama.
Yep.
The last time Texas looked impressive. Why wouldn't you take 2 touchdowns with an upset-minded Cowboys who've already knocked off Oklahoma? Yes, they got blown out by UCF in sort of a letdown game, but they came back against BYU. I don't know why you wouldn't take the 15 points there. Mark Lawrence mentioned it. I won't continue the number, but both UNLV and Miami of Ohio look like very live dogs in those spots, so I would take the points there. And then you get into I think the easy pickings one, which is Georgia only laying 5.5 to Alabama. Everybody has their head so stuck up their ass about how improved Alabama is after getting their heads beat in by Texas early in the year. They got better, yeah, but they got played close a bunch of times by crap teams. They let LSU take them to the wire. They let Ole Miss take them to the wire. They should have lost to Auburn. 4th and 31 is like a 1 in a million thing. And again, Auburn followed that Manny Diaz defensive plan. We're on 4th down. We're only going to rush and let the quarterback look around for 45 seconds before he throws it into a guy who finally got open. Yeah, because the defensive backs got so tired. Down. Yeah. So again, Georgia, they didn't look great against Georgia Tech last week. Let's be honest, but that's not a real rivalry game. That's Georgia's lost that game like twice in 100 years. So like that's not a real rivalry. They didn't take it that seriously. 5.5. Trust me, Kirby Smart knows he may have his playoff chances, and he's got a much better team and a much better defense in terms of the matchups and the equipment to shut Alabama down. The best defense Alabama has faced all year, and when they faced good defense early in the year, their offense looked like garbage, and I thought their offense honestly looked like a mess last week against Auburn, who is trash.
Yep.
So again, 5.5, simple spot there. Georgia all day long. And then we get into Lubie's Florida State Seminoles also playing for their playoff lives because they ain't getting in as a one-loss team. They may fight to get in as an unbeaten team. Playing against the Louisville team who gave up 38 to Kentucky last week. I know we're talking about Louisville, one of the more underrated teams. Yes, at home, they've been very good. They didn't look good against Miami, although they won a couple of weeks ago. And they lost to Kentucky teams. So if you're worried about the quarterback, well, yes, I think the kid Rodemaker is not very good and certainly didn't look very good against Florida, but he's better than Kentucky's guy. Kentucky's guy, as Thomas Hollywood Henderson once said of
was Leary,
Terry Bradshaw, he couldn't spell cat if you spotted him the C and the T. So, again, if Florida State, I think Norvell will come in with the let's just get through this one game plan. They'll run the ball a lot. They'll play defense. Louisville, you saw against Miami, they're vulnerable to a defensive line that can pressure from the edge. I think Florida State will accomplish that. They'll get through this game. I'm not saying it's going to be a pretty cover. I'm not saying they're going to win by 3 touchdowns. But at 1.5, it looks like a very easy spot to me. Yeah. So, basically, this whole weekend, I say every game other than Louisville and Georgia, which are your 2 big layouts, those are the favorites that are going to cover. Otherwise, take the points everywhere. The points seem like a no-brainer in every other spot, but your 2 to focus on will be Georgia -5 and a hook, and Florida State -1.5. Lay the points there. Take the points everywhere else because there's a lot of good value. And if you are the type that likes, like Defo, to put together big odds, it's a great weekend to take some money lines.
Money lines.
It's honestly, even if you wanted to put those 2 together tonight, Washington, New Mexico State, I'm not guaranteeing a win for either, but there's a chance both win the game, and then the money line parlay is going to be like 8-1, 9-1, something like that.
Nice.
So, very good opportunities to, as Defo likes to do, as Mark Lawrence likes to do, take the points, but don't do it with Georgia and Florida State. Both of them are going to cover, and those are your 2 easy wins of the weekend.
Yeah, when it was 2.5, we were saying that was a little
I'm the
startling.
one that's weary.
Now I see it at 1 and a hook.
He
Well,
wasn't-
So
no,
the money's
look, I
coming in
think
on
the way
Louisville.
Florida State looked this week. If they were playing a high quality opponent, they'd be in a lot of trouble. Even if they were playing a team ACC wise they have historical trouble with, like Clemson,
Yeah.
I'd say they were in trouble in this spot. I think Louisville falls right into their wheelhouse. Louisville can't stop the run. They're coming off their own really ugly loss to a weakling Kentucky team. I don't think they're in a great spot here. I don't love what Florida State is doing. If you're going to flash forward a month from now to a playoff matchup, if Florida State's not getting like 3 touchdowns, I'll be betting against them with this Rodemaker kid. But in this spot, 1.5 against a very favorable matchup, I think they'll get through and get into the playoff, which, again, if I'm Florida State, particularly given the Travis injury, would make for a great season.
All right. Do we have a big board for this week? You want to get into it?
Yeah.
We need to, yeah. All right. Very good. Here we go. And let's see. I can't read it all here because I got something blocking it. It is the big board of great moments in college football trolling.
And we had a lot going on this week. The aforementioned Deion Sanders as Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year. There's been all sorts of coming go. People mad at Malika Andrews over some underage sex allegation involving an Oklahoma City Thunder Australian player who, like, people are mad because they say she hammers black players and leaves the white players alone. Honestly, who pays any attention to the Oklahoma City Thunder? Like, I didn't even know this guy existed. I'm a huge Aussie fan, and I have no idea this guy existed. Everybody attacked. We had a lot going on, but one notable incident, we're going to get into it, and it plays into the theme since it is college championship week. And there's a lot of trolling in college football. But we're going to go over some great moments in college football trolling, and that's this week's big board, Defo.
All right.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Because number 5 comes from this year, and that is the real Johnny Utah, Cam Rising. For those who don't know why we call him Johnny Utah, look at him.
Yeah,
he kind of looks like Keanu Reeves. He wears the
100%.
stupid beanie hat, and now he doesn't even play football anymore, much like Johnny Utah. Johnny Utah, Cam Rising, goes on the Pat McAfee show this year when ESPN went out to Utah for game day and reveals that not only about the Mormon sex practice of soaking, but that it doesn't go on at the University of Utah. That is entirely a BYU thing, which are we familiar with this term? Do you guys know what soaking is?
What the fuck is soaking?
No, what is that?
Defo, do you know what soaking is?
No idea.
Soaking is when you are a Mormon and you're supposed to be a virgin at your marriage. And so Mormons have decided that this practice of soaking is not actually losing your virginity. Soaking is when you put it in, but you don't move.
Oh,
Well, I've done that a lot. What are you talking about? That's also called being Jewish.
what is that from? I'm trying to. There was a. This. Yeah. Okay.
And apparently that does not violate your virginity.
It's not
you
sex.
just put it in, but you don't move. It's not actual sex. Now,
Why would you even do that?
I kind of think that moving is sort of the fun of the whole
Yeah, I was
thing.
gonna say.
Who makes the call on that, though? I mean,
But
who makes the call?
There's actually an adjunct to soaking, which
Okay.
is the position of the jump man, which I don't know if
I'm
you're
afraid to
familiar
ask.
with this, but this is the jump man is the person that when you're soaking jumps up and down on the bed. So that there is some movement without you actually moving. So you are
Well, that
not
sounds
violating
wilder
your
than just
virginity,
having sex.
But the jump man
Don't do the work.
provides the motion by jumping up and down on the bed while one is soaking.
Isn't that creepier and worse than actual sex? 'Cause now
Isn't
you-
everything about
That's pretty
Mormons?
bizarre, yeah.
Isn't everything about Mormons creepy and worse than everything else? Like, isn't that the whole theme of Mormons? Like Christians, just creepier and weirder.
I mean, they must have been the people buying all those tickets at the Flamingo to see the husbands. I don't know how that show sold out
If
for 20
I'm
straight years.
really going to be like creating an advertising campaign for the Mormon Church, it would be like the Catholics, just creepier and weirder.
That comes in at number 5.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Sorry.
But yes, the greatest part about this, for those who are unaware, is that after revealing what soaking is and that they don't soak at Utah, they soak at BYU, Pat McAfee went on College Game Day the next day and made a soaking reference during the College Game Day.
That's why he makes the big money.
Great.
right?
Good for him.
I gotta say, I'm not the biggest Pat McAfee fan,
That took balls.
That's
Yeah.
great.
but Herbie and Corso are not talking about soaking.
No,
That's great.
no.
Do that at them. That's amazing.
Reese
Only-
Davis never will bring that up. I don't think
Only
on the show.
Pat McAfee is bringing that to Disney sponsored television.
Love it.
Excellent number 5 entry. I don't know where it goes from here, Professor.
Number 4, and you know what? I gotta love college football trolls. As you know, I used to have a college football website, which was pretty much all trolling. We used to do a show that was, 75% trolling. But my favorite type of college football troll is when you are a troll and your team is garbage. When your team sucks and you are still willing to troll, you get nothing but respect from me. And that brings us to number 4, which is a rich legacy of Rutgers football, terrible football, lots of trolling. I am not a big Greg Schiano fan. I didn't like him when he was down here. Obviously, I don't like Penn State coaches. He's been pretty lousy everywhere he's go, other than a brief stint in Rutgers. But when Rutgers was good for 35 seconds under Greg Schiano, he brought a rich legacy of trolling to Rutgers, including their first game in the Big Ten, as you can see, which was against Penn State. A Rutgers fan on the official Rutgers website was wearing a Beat Penn State t-shirt, which caused Penn State to file an official complaint with the Big Ten, which I don't know if you're Penn State, how you get the balls to do that. Like, how dare they make fun of us for being child rapists when we haven't raped children in almost 3 years.
Could see where they would find it distasteful.
Better than that, the thing that really earns my respect. Under Greg Schiano, they were playing Army. They beat Army 45-10, and the Rutgers student section so thoroughly trolled the cadets of Army who were attending the game that the United States Army filed a complaint with Rutgers over the treatment of their students while at the game. I gotta say, because it's not till next week where we have to pretend that we respect Army and Navy football.
Yeah.
Any student section that's willing to go out and actively troll the Army and Navy football team instantly wins my respect. Instead of doing the whole thing, like, thank you for your service. I think they went full Larry David, refused to thank them for their service. I guess that's probably why. I respect anybody who's willing to stand up and say, you know what, we respect what you guys do, and, thanks for fighting terrorists and all that, but your football team is shit.
Fuck you.
I respect anybody who's willing to go out and say, you know what, as much as we don't want to do your jobs and we appreciate it, we don't like watching that goddamn option shit anymore.
Yeah, enough of that, really. Find somebody who can throw a ball. I mean, you can throw a grenade. Just do it that way. Go the old combat route. Unbelievable. Hey, I mean, you can't handle the truth. I guess that comes right out of that, whole idea.
Mad respect to Rutgers. And look, if your program is terrible, you might as well be good trolls about it. And look, if your program is terrible, you can still troll Army and Navy.
Yeah.
Even if you're Rutgers, you're going to have more talent on the field than Army and Navy, so you might as well take advantage of it.
All right, that's number 4. Number 3,
as
college football trolling.
Well-known, Defo, I hate mascots.
Yes.
Everybody knows I hate mascots. But if there's one mascot I can respect, even though I'm picking against them, it is Puddles the Duck. Who doesn't love Puddles the Duck? It's the most ridiculous-looking mascot. And all he does is troll on the internet, particularly trolls the University of Washington. Here it is a long tradition where the Husky and the Duck troll each other on the internet every time the two schools play, and the Duck always wins. And here you can see the Duck outing the mascot for putting his feet up on the plane during a team flight. Now, let's be honest. If you put your feet up on an airplane, you are a disgusting person. You're a revolting, disgusting human being who deserves to be in prison if you put your feet up on an airplane.
How do you?
But
what about lying across 3 seats, Professor?
If you have dirty, disgusting mascot feet, and you put your dirty, disgusting mascot feet up on you're extra worse. You're worse than the people who take your shoes off. So the Duck is absolutely correct here. Harry the Husky is a disgusting mascot, a disgusting human being, presumably inside of that mascot. And the Duck wins the trolling battle every year. So, again, not a big fan of mascots, but if I can respect any mascot, it's Puddles the Duck from Oregon.
Beautiful. All right, that's number 3, Puddles the Duck.
Number 2, and this is what inspired us this week. And I got to say, this was one of the ballsiest acts of trolling I have ever seen in my life. Maybe the single ballsiest one in the history of college football. It came this Saturday where the University of Michigan, for the flyover, flew a spy plane. They flew a Boeing Poseidon spy plane over the stadium instead of jet fighters before the Ohio State game. Now, number 1, they had to pay not just extra, but supposedly upwards of $200,000 extra for this flight. So if you fly the fucking spy plane over the stadium and then you lose to Ohio State, you look like the biggest assholes in the history of the world.
You're expecting to win when you do that.
Michigan went all in, as we say in the caption here. They play hardball, and they absolutely flew the spy plane over the stadium, and then they went out and won the game without their head coach. Like,
Interesting
that is
aspect of the game,
right there. And as you can see, everybody who saw this knew exactly what was going on.
Yeah, it's usually a jet.
This is not Maverick and Goose and Iceman.
Wasn't the Blue Angels? Yeah.
Yeah, no.
7-7.
It wasn't even the French Connection that I flew with at the Miami Air Show one year.
Goddamn Poseidon spy plane flying over the stadium. I gotta say, I mean, I'm not a Harbaugh fan, and I don't appreciate spying incidents, but you gotta admire that they just went full-on villain with this.
This is classic.
Yeah,
Like, this is honestly, this is Belichick coming out with a video camera for the press conference after the game.
It's Tom Brady holding up a football that has
This
no
is
air in it.
Robert
Yeah.
Kraft at the Super Bowl surrounding himself with like 15 Chinese hookers.
A-Rod with a syringe still in his ass as he comes up to the plate in a key spot for the Yankees.
Exactly. I mean, like, yeah, you gotta admire the way.
Any horse run by Bob Baffert with a syringe.
Because honestly, probably since like the early '80s Hurricanes, there have been very few teams that have leaned into their villainy.
No, that's great.
The way this team has leaned. I mean, you spend an extra couple $100,000 to fly a spy plane over. I'm not a huge
You're
Harbaugh
definitely
fan.
trolling Ohio State.
I've never been a Michigan fan, but I gotta respect this. This so buries Urban Meyer with his stupid sod graveyard at Ohio State.
Yeah.
It's not even close. Michigan's like, not only we can afford to spend a couple $100,000 just to troll you, Ohio State. You know why? Because fuck you. That's why, Ohio State.
You rats.
You rat bastards.
Number one on the list.
Number 1, and again, we can respect any school that is not actually good, but trolls nonetheless. And really, in terms of trolling, there is one school that is so far outdone everybody else in history, and that is everything about the Ferd. Stanford, particularly the Stanford band, the king of trolls. The picture here is from the 2016 Rose Bowl, where the halftime act was the Stanford band making fun of Iowa for having sex with cows. So offended Iowa that University of Iowa not only protested to Stanford and the Pac-12, they protested to the Rose Bowl itself and tried to get the Stanford band banned for life from the Rose Bowl. This is the same band that in the mid-'90s, during a game at Notre Dame, did a halftime act as a tribute to the Irish potato famine. The same band that just 3 years ago got not just BYU, not the school, but the actual Mormon church to protest because they did a tribute to sister wives during halftime with BYU. And my personal favorite, this is the same mascot that after Sonny Bono, I think it was a Kennedy brother, and I was at Doak Walker, some football player got killed in skiing accidents, held up a sign that said trees 3, people 0 at halftime of a basketball game.
Oh no.
Jeez.
Trees 3.
So again, they may not be good at any sports, but you got to respect the level of trolling that goes on at Stanford.
Holy crap.
Much more so than Christian McCaffrey, because screw him. I never liked him and his family anyway. But I can respect the trolling of the band. Again, anybody who's like, we've got a halftime in Notre Dame, let's do a tribute to the potato famine. Instantly earns my respect.
They've won me over. All right. That was better than had they actually made the call on Rudy to be offsides on that play. Professor, excellent stuff. I hope you'll be able to join us on the Tony Bruno Sports Network. We could definitely use the infusion of humor there, as we'll be on from 10 to 12. So make some time for
That's
us.
funnier than technical difficulties. So you already got the
That's a win.
We are now. I think we may be over the proverbial hump. I hate to jinx it, but the highlight of this week so far was the 20-minute talk-free commercial sweep that we were engulfed in at one point during the show. But we made it through most of it yesterday, so the signs are good.
What's the big deal? It's like 3 minutes longer than your average Defo break. So
I mean, back in the day, it was nice, when you had 4 minutes of content and 44 minutes of spots on those sports talk shows. It was fantastic, and 3 guys to do the show too. I couldn't have been any more like stealing. All right, Professor, thanks very much. We'll talk to you later on. We hope
you guys have a great one.
All right, thanks a lot, the Professor. Deion Sanders as the Sportsman of the Year. I saw something like that, and I thought it was a joke.
It's fucking dumb.
That's amazing.
His team wasn't good. His team sucked. And he didn't change anything. Supposedly their black enrollmentship is up 30% or something at Colorado. I'm like, who gives a shit? What does that have to do with sports?
It was amazing. I mean, the story was great in the beginning, and everybody, was on the bandwagon there, and then reality set in that the team wasn't very good. And as the professor alluded to, everybody's looking to get out now.
He sucks. He's not a good coach. I've said it from the beginning. He's a fucking used car salesman, and his recruiting sucks. He's gotten 3 guys. Get the fuck out of here. And when is his son?
All right. That's a good point to end on. All right. We'll see you guys later on Tony Bruno Sports Network. It mostly worked yesterday. I think we had a little dropout during the time. And that
fucking Larinaga that I took 30 minutes to edit, it dropped out for like 5 minutes. So I'm just a little frustrated.
And it was a good interview with Jim Larinaga. Really a lot of fun.
Long time to edit it, and it took me a long time to play it. It was actually a pain in the ass to play it. And it died in the middle of the goddamn thing.
Maybe we should replay it in its entirety as the final segment on today's show. That would be great. And get out of here about 11:30. All right, we'll see you guys later on. That's Tony Bruno Sports Network. Download the app. It's very easy. And actually, when it is working, which is most of the time, it comes in loud and clear. It sounds like an FM radio station in your car with any kind of Bluetooth apparatus. So, it was very enjoyable. I was listening to Tony on the way home from the doctor yesterday, and he was on his usual roll. All right, we'll see you next time. And later on today, out at the track, Gulfstream Park Championship meet gets underway. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, and always a good time out there at the racetrack. Joe Beja and the 10 Palms people, they put on a great show for us, and always a lot of fun. Championship meet, a little bit of a different buzz there, Lubie. You'll see. You'll sense a different buzz as you walk in there today.
That place is great with the championship meet.
All right, we'll catch you guys later on. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:08.
Let's go to eat a damn snack. Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.